What if silence was the key to unlocking your deepest peace? Imagine a life where you spoke less but gained more. This is the story of a monk who taught the world the true power of silence. In a quiet village, hidden in the mountains, there was a monk known to be silent, never uttering a single word. People would come from far and wide to see him, curious about his silence and the peace that surrounded him. The monk was not a man of many words, but his presence spoke volumes. One day, a young traveler named Joy, who had heard rumors about this silent monk, decided to visit him. Joy had spent his life seeking answers to his many questions about life, purpose, and happiness. He had tried everything, studying philosophies, meeting great teachers, and reading countless books, but nothing seemed to bring him the peace he longed for. Joy arrived at the monk's temple and approached him with excitement. "Master," he asked eagerly, "I have traveled so far to meet you. Can you tell me the secret to finding peace in my life?" The monk, as usual, said nothing. He simply gestured for Joy to sit beside him. Joy, a bit confused but determined, sat silently waiting for an answer. Hours passed, but the monk remained quiet. Joy's impatience grew, but something in the monk's stillness began to stir something inside him. He found himself slowly calming down, his restless thoughts beginning to quiet. As evening approached, the monk finally spoke. But his words were simple and profound. "The world is noisy, Joy, but in silence you find clarity." Joy was puzzled. "But Master, how can silence give me clarity? I have so many questions, and I thought you could help me answer them." The monk smiled gently and motioned for Joy to walk with him to the nearby river. They walked in silence, the only sound being the gentle flow of the water. The monk stopped by the riverbank and pointed to the clear water. "Do you see the water, Joy?" the monk asked. "Yes, I see it clearly," Joy replied, watching the river flow smoothly. "Now imagine that the water is like your mind," the monk continued. "When your mind is filled with noise, it becomes like a river filled with mud. But when you stop, when you sit in silence, the mud settles and the water becomes clear." Joy stood there for a moment, staring at the river. For the first time in his life, he understood what the monk meant. All his life, he had been seeking answers, but his mind had been too noisy to hear them. In that moment, he realized that silence didn't just mean the absence of sound, it meant the absence of distractions, of confusion, of endless searching. The monk turned to him and said, "Your answers are not outside, Joy. They are within you, waiting to be discovered in silence." Joy sat down by the river, closing his eyes. For the first time in his life, he simply sat in silence, listening to the river, to the wind, and to his own thoughts settling down. He didn't need to search for answers anymore. He already had them. The power of silence had given him clarity and peace. The monk left him there, silently watching over him as the day turned to night. Joy knew that his life had changed forever. He no longer sought answers in the noise of the world. He had learned the most powerful lesson of all. Sometimes the answers come when we stop speaking and start listening. In a world filled with distractions, we often forget that silence is not empty. It's full of answers. When we quiet the noise, we create space for true understanding and peace. The next time life feels overwhelming, remember the power of silence. You don't need to say a word to find your peace. If this story spoke to you, take a moment today to find some silence and see what answers come your way. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire inner peace and clarity.